Hi, I'm Mrs. Roberts.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Gleason.
We're here at the Cincinnati Art Museum today to give you a virtual tour of the Hank Willis Thomas exhibit, All Things Being Equal.
So we're going to look at some things like gender, race, inequality, protest, and really all of humanity.
So Thomas asks us in this exhibit to challenge the systems of inequality that are woven into the fabric of contemporary life. In addition, because you guys are visual art students, we'll take a look at the mediums that he uses, because he uses lots of different mediums, to explore these issues. We hope that you will react and respond and ask good questions and be thoughtful. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. All right, so here we are at one of the first displays in the All Things Being Equal exhibit, and it's called I Am the Man.
All right, so this was inspired in the 1960s when a group of sanitation workers out of Memphis protested against discriminatory work conditions. So they held up a sign saying, I am a man. And that kind of became the one of the faces of the civil rights movement. So if we start at the beginning, I am 3/5 man. Do you know what this is referencing? This is going actually back to our Constitution. So our Constitution said that slaves were counted as 3/5 of a human being. So this is where the journey starts. So as we move through, we look at the sanitation workers and the I am a man, that I'm not 3/5, I am a man. And then we move forward and we see and ain't I a woman? So this is Sojourner Truth, and this was a speech that she gave during the women's rights movement, trying to have equal rights for African American women as other women. So again, just moving through, ain't I a woman, to yes, I am a woman. And then if you keep going, you see even some kind of pop culture things. You the man. And then keep going, starting to get here, like I am I? So I think, yes, we're good, but are we there all the way? And then we get all the way to the end. What do you think the last piece of this artwork might signify?
So this gallery contains some of Thomas's photographs, a medium that he used early in his career, and the photographs are exploring the ideas of branding, sports, and ownership.
So if you look here, this man has a brand of a Nike swoosh on his head. So he's trying to draw some parallels between being owned a long time ago and continuing that practice with sports. So we have a lot of African American athletes who are playing on teams where they have white owners, and those owners are making money off them. So he's trying to just look at some similarities and differences from past to present. Same thing with this picture over here. Again, we've got a man picking cotton on one side, and the other side you have a football player. So looking again at similarities and differences, past to present.
And how much are we beholden to our own brands that we, like to Nike, we have to buy the certain thing with a certain brand name even though it costs a lot more in today's culture? So a quote here at the beginning of the exhibit from Thomas says, I think images shape the world because reality is not a fixed thing, it's a perception. And that perception is shaped by the dominant perspective of the people of power. Where you stand affects what you see.
So thinking about that, thinking about everybody is different because everyone's perspective is different. As we go through this tour, just remember that all of these images that you see, they're asking you to participate in it and to see your role in the process of making the meaning of this art.
So our next stop is here at this quilt called The Fall of Icarus. And it's based on an original work by Henry Matisse that was done around World War II. So Thomas took Matisse's idea and reimagined it using sports jerseys. The story of the fall of Icarus goes back to mythology, though, and you may have studied it if you did mythology in, is that 7th grade? Yeah, or if you read Percy Jackson, that would be in the 4th Percy Jackson book, where Icarus's father Daedalus made him a pair of wax wings so that he could fly, but told him not to fly too close to the sun. Well, Icarus, his ego got the better of him. He flew too close to the sun, the wax wings melted, and he fell to the ocean and died. So that is the story behind this image.
So what Thomas did is he replaced what the original painting looked like with these jerseys. And the jerseys he chose were from Philadelphia, New York, and LA. And the reason he chose those specific sports teams was because in those cities, young black men are dying at disproportionate rates. So what kind of parallel do you think he's trying to make by creating this story in this way?
Yes.
So this is another piece. Another quilt that Thomas created based off another famous painting by Picasso. When Picasso designed his painting, it was to signify the horrors of war. And when Thomas reimagined this piece, he used jerseys from competitive sports teams in its place.
It's hard to see, I think, in video, but hopefully a wide shot will show you the scope of this quilt is just ginormous. Lots of color, and so it's an interesting medium for art. I think we don't necessarily think of quilts as being art, but like repurposing the jerseys for the statement. And that if you focus in, you can see faces, odd-looking faces of people, which is very Picasso-esque. If you look at what is like a self-portrait, a lot of times it looks like blocks of Picasso, and people are like, that doesn't look like people. But so Thomas is giving a nod to Picasso's style with this.
And a purple dragon there in the middle.
Yeah.
He also wants to give a nod to all of the athletes who have used their voice in this public platform to advocate for different rights. I know that sometimes that's hard, and people have come back and said that that's not what they're paid to do. But he comes back and says, then where would we be had they not used their voice?
And references people like Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown and Paul Robeson, who had spoken up in the past. So this gallery contains photography that is images from advertising, where Willis has taken advertisements and removed all of the words, so it's just the image, to talk about stereotypes. And what does that advertising promote about, in this case, women?
So for example, looking at this image, without knowing what is it trying to sell? What is it trying to promote? What stereotype is it continuing?
Okay, so we're going to take a look at we're going to focus in on some images, and we want you guys to think about and talk about what stereotypes do you see.
So Hank Willis Thomas has a series where he shows the American flag in new and different ways, showing different perspectives of Americans.
So the American flag is ubiquitous throughout the United States, but it represents something different to everybody. Everybody's American flag is not necessarily the same with their experience in our country.
So for example, here next to us, we have what looks like a Southern Belle type dress representing in America from that perspective. This flag is called Stars and Bars, which is referencing the first flag of the Confederacy. What he's showing here is the stars from the American flag, and the stripes are represented by prison uniforms, showing how the United States actually incarcerates more people than any other nation.
So this is our last stop of our virtual tour today, and in this gallery we have some most unique art. So what Thomas has done is he has taken a screen print of a photograph and put it on reflective vinyl so that we only see a portion of the image initially until you take a flashlight and light up the rest of the image.
So in this particular image, you just see a picture of an American flag over white. Now, if you take a camera or a light and you hold it up to the image, you can kind of see the rest of it clear. And Ms. Roberts is going to see if she can kind of get a little bit of the light on there for you to see. This is actually at a pro-segregation rally where a white person is using the flag as a weapon. This image is titled Refusal. This is actually based off of a photograph from World War II where you see a man just standing there, arms down. And when you shine the light on it, what you can see is he is actually in a sea of Nazi supporters who are holding their arm out in a Hail Hitler motion. This man actually married a Jewish woman, so he was kicked out of the Nazi party, but they later forced him to be in it. They imprisoned him and he died.
I think this gallery is neat because of what you see and then what you don't see, and that sometimes it takes shining a light on something to show the full picture. I think that's true a lot of times with issues we find in society, that we see a little bit of it, but if we look more broadly, if we shine a brighter light, we get a complete picture.
So I think that this quote really sums up our tour really well. It says, "The most revolutionary thing a person can do is be open to change."
Change is hard.
Absolutely. Mrs. Roberts and I have some of these. On the front it says, "What matters now?" And there's a blank for you to fill in. And on the back, it says, "Write your answer on the front of this postcard, then mail the postcard to someone who needs to hear you." So there's some elected officials and things. They give you websites you can find to figure out who you would like to mail it to. And we would really like to hear what you guys have to say. So what matters now to you?